firewall. Okay, so there, if you see, there are four sections over here. The first section is static routes. You can either create a route based on your next hop, or you can create an interface route. Okay, so there are two options, nothing more to it. Next comes the firewall. Right, so if you look here, there are three groups for WAN, there are three for LAN, and three for guest. So basically, WAN and rules are applied for any traffic that is going from the internet towards your LAN devices. So you can create those rules over here. WAN out would be any traffic that is going from your LAN devices towards the internet. WAN local would be traffic that is going from the internet to your USG. That is, let's say that you want GUI access or you want SSH access. You can create those rules under WAN local. The next comes LAN in. This is something which can be used for blocking inter-VLAN traffic. So let's say that you have two corporate VLANs and you don't want traffic to reach the other VLAN, you can create rules here. So LAN out and LAN local, like I said, LAN out would be traffic that is going from the LAN towards the USG. LAN local is something which you can use in guest networks. So let's say that you do not want the clients to be able to access the USG or any services that are running on the USG except DNS and DHCP, you can create those rules here. Similarly, you can do the same for guest in. Like I said, the guests are automatically blocked, so there's no need to create the additional rules. So if you see here, there are drop rules already created, that is 3005 to 3007, which will automatically block any of the guest clients from contacting the other VLANs or other networks that are created. Right, let's okay, over here, or this is how you create a firewall rule. Okay, so you have an option of creating a rule before the predefined rules or after the predefined rules. So rules basically work on an indexing system. Any rules that are created first are executed first. The ones that come later are executed in the last. The options are to drop packets, reject packets, or accept packets. You can select the IPv4 protocol, or you can select the protocol manually from by name or by selecting a protocol number. Next comes the logging. Logging is something which will help you to understand if the rules are being actioned or not, or what's happening with the rules. So any rules that are being logged would be sent to the syslog server. So like I explained previously, under the site settings, if you have a syslog server or if you have enabled the option to log, send the logs to the controller, all these logs will be created, a file will be created in the controller, which will be having logs for all the firewall rules. The next is the states. Like I said about packet states, the new, established, invalid, and related are different packet states because all our devices have a stateful firewall. That's how the packets are filtered. And the other options, that is the source and the destination. So you can create multiple address groups or network groups or specify single IP addresses from which you want to block traffic, or to, that is the destination which you want to block traffic. Right. So port forwarding is something very basic. We've been seeing this from, like, even the simple home routers like D-Link have this option. So it will just help you forward external ports to your internal ports. So all you have to do is create a new port forward rule, specify the IP address, select the source port and the destination port, and save the settings. So once the settings are saved, it will automatically create a rule that can, you know, help you use the port forward. The next is GeoIP filtering. This is something which is in beta, but it works. So let's say that you have deployed the USG in a location and that particular facility does not want traffic coming in from other countries. So you can just add those countries here. The list for GeoIP is populated, it's populated every 24 hours. So once it's updated, any IPs belonging to that country will automatically block. So you have an option of blocking traffic to that country that is outgoing, or traffic coming in from that country that is incoming. So if you do not want traffic to come from some country, you can just add it in the list, and this will automatically disable any traffic coming from those IP addresses. Right. The next is threat management. Right, so threat management is basically IPS and IDS. If you read the warnings above, this is something which will disable offloading, and it will also reduce your throughput. So in the USG and the USG4, the throughput is reduced to a greater extent, but on the newer devices that are UDM and the UDM Pro, they both can handle traffic at up to 800 Mbps with IPS or IDS enabled. So basically, these functions will help you block spyware or malware on your computers, or any devices that are trying to access a Tor or any other websites will be blocked using this option. So we have a KB about this. I'll be sharing it later once I'm done with the controller so that you guys can go through it. Next is DPI. So this is one of the oldest features. The DPI basically inspects all the packets that goes through the USG, and based on an inbuilt list of signature, it categorizes all the websites that you have into different categories. So Arnav, can you go to the dashboard? Okay, so if you see here, it will show you a list of all the data that has been used. Can you click on the UTM in the client list or the ER6P? All right, scroll down. Okay, can you go to deep packet inspection? So I don't see anything for this, but if there is any client that is visiting websites, the data will get populated over here. So you can also view it under statistics. That is the second option on the left, the one above map. Okay, so this is a view of your entire network, like whatever is happening on the network, you will be able to see like what websites are being visited or what's the resources that are used and the amount of data that is being used for those particular applications. I would like to add, this will only work for websites that are built into the DPI signatures. So we have most of the websites, but there might be a lot of websites which are not in the DPI signatures. So those will get categorized as others. But the most of the common websites that are used on a daily basis have been added to the DPI signatures. Right, let's go back to settings. Right, can you click on DPI restrictions? Okay, so this is where you create a restriction group. Um, can you click on add restriction? Okay, so once you select a group, you can select what what is the category that you want to block. Let's say that you want to block streaming media or any particular categories like P2P, that is for torrents. You can do this. And once again, you have the option of logging traffic to your syslog. So you can use these rules. You can use the logging option to log to your syslog. So once you click on save, okay, so you have created a group. You need to add, click the add option under it. All right, click save. Okay, so this creates the restrictions. Once the restrictions are created, you can use the restriction assignment. Now, the DPI restriction can be assigned to any networks that you have created. So if you have multiple VLANs, you can assign it to any VLANs. So let's say that you don't want the guest users to access any streaming media like YouTube. You can create a restriction for YouTube or streaming media and assign it to your guest network. So anyone connecting to the guest network would not be able to use YouTube or any streaming media websites.